Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we want to talk about this breaking news that the SEC is filing a lawsuit against LBRY. So let's go ahead and chat first about LBRY. Why am I not over there? Well, I did a video about why I'm not on LBRY about a year ago. Actually, I was on there for about 3 months and I left the platform. And to my understanding, my video and the response caused a community change that changed the issues that I had in that video. And so it is very conceivable that I will jump back onto LBRY sometime and possibly even sometime soon, because it is a good platform. I do like what they are trying to do. Let me go ahead and just give you guys the bullet points why I left LBRY to begin with. Back then, and again, most of this has changed. Back then, when you created a LBRY account, they automatically, without your consent, without your knowledge, subscribed you to their newsletter list. The person who was leading the marketing at that time had this foolish idea that sex sells, which, by the way, in scientific research, unless you're selling dildos, sex doesn't sell. Okay? And then they would use this and they would blast out these emails, which the content was allegedly neutral. I never read the content because the subject lines were so sexually explicit. I thought LBRY was hacked at one point in time. I'm like, what's going on? And I actually emailed them and I heard crickets. And the fact is, I'm like, this is inappropriate. If this is really them, they're either hacked or something's going on here. And then I emailed them again. And I didn't hear anything back. And so finally I made that big public video. It had to do not with the fact that there's bad adult content on the site. Some people are saying that's the reason I left. No, I very clearly said in the video, we saw that, we decided, we talked about whether we would leave because of that content, and we decided not to because of that. The final thing, the reason we left was because they were utilizing their email list, which was collected without consent, to send sexually explicit messages. And then when I finally did get a response back, they said, well, if you don't like it, go ahead and click the link in the bottom to unsubscribe. So when's the last time that you advised somebody to click a link in a sexually explicit, unsolicited email? No. And any moron who would tell you to do that is an idiot. Now, I'm not sure if that guy's completely gone for the company, but I believe somebody else is in charge, at least of the marketing end. And at least one of the other high officials at that time, as I was discussing this on their Discord server, completely agreed with my point of view, saying, yes, this is not appropriate. And literally, I know a lot of people in the Christian world that will not go near LBRY because of that issue. Hopefully, if they have corrected their view, and I believe that they have, I can jump back on. And if I find it appropriate for this channel, then maybe I will put my Christian content on there as well and tell people, yes, they have cleaned up their act. Because there's one thing that Christians do believe in, it is called redemption. I'm okay with that. Okay, so that being said, I may jump on LBRY sometime soon. So today we're going to look at what is going on here, and I am 50-50. I am not huge into cryptocurrencies. I know enough to be dangerous. I am certainly not an investment guy, although managing a little bit of personal investments. I am not an investment guy, so we're not doing any advice here financially, or I'm not always the best person at this. But I did want to bring your attention to this, which is breaking this morning, that LBRY is being sued by the SEC, claiming that their entire approach is selling securities, basically selling unregistered securities. And I wanted to bring this to your attention so that A, you can spread it far and wide, and B, look into it, and C, hopefully we can get people who are lawyers or securities people to comment in on this, because I honestly think the government has a good shot at this, but I'm not 100% sure. And this means that other companies like Brave, who uses BAT, also need to, for some of what I have found in some of the initial discussions. So first, let's look at the article here from CoinDesk. U.S. government sues decentralized content platform LBRY over $11 million in token sales. SEC says LBRY sold unregistered securities. So they filed the lawsuit. There's court documents here. It was filed yesterday, I believe, as I'm recording this. And what they're saying is that the SEC alleges that LBRY sold millions of dollars worth of unregistered securities to investors beginning in 2016. Securities regulator is seeking permanent injunction against LBRY for selling further tokens in addition to the disgorgement of ill-gotten gains plus prejudgmental interest. So the SEC says that the securities were sold in the form of LBRY credits, which is the cryptocurrency attached to LBRY. So if I remember, I think you might even need to pay to watch a video with some of the coins, and you certainly get, I don't remember. I don't even know how it all works, which is something I need to figure out perfectly before I actually get on there and look into it. So, but with that, LBRY, they're saying your LBRY is an open source protocol allowing participants to post content without fear of retribution. SEC says LBC tokens were sold as investment contracts in exchange for US dollars. Of course, you can take the LBC and convert them into cash and use those. So if they are found guilty, are the individual investors also going to be liable in one way, shape, or form? That's a question for a lawyer more familiar with these types of cases. The network has solicited help from cryptocurrency community, claiming the industry is at risk, while simultaneously saying that credits are not securities. That's really the linchpin question. Are LBC tokens securities? We'll get into that in a bit. So they say SEC complaint against LBRY reflects an outdated view of of the economy that stifles innovation, accessibility, and creativity, says Jeremy Kaufman in an email. Under the overreaching standard set by the SEC complaint, most blockchain tokens would be deemed securities, leaving uncertainty and confusion in the industry. Kaufman added that the SEC's complaint fails to acknowledge steps taken by his company to comply with the law and its efforts to conduct business in a forthcoming and transparent way. So you can read through the rest of this, but LBRY set up a site, this one here, LBRY set up a site here, helplibbrysavecrypto.com, helplibbrysavecrypto.com, just this, .com, all one word. And it says the SEC doesn't understand blockchain. The claims made in SEC versus LBRY would destroy United States cryptocurrency industry. So what's the big deal? The entire blockchain industry is at risk in the United States. Big tech and Wall Street would have more power, and many people could lose their jobs. SEC is advancing an aggressive and disastrous new standard that would make almost all blockchain tokens securities. Classifying an all actively developed blockchain token as securities will be a bureaucratic nightmare for United States residents and businesses. And it's already to the point right now where I think in 2021, we will have to do declarations, maybe even back in 2020, you'd have to do declarations on cryptocurrency exchanges. And I need to double check on that. And I will ask my accountant about it when I get to the point where I'm actually doing more with cryptocurrency. So under this new standard, almost any token is a security, including the previously safe Ethereum. The nature of this technology that is never finished. The change will make it much harder for startups to form blockchain companies, cause massive job loss, and stunt the development of critical new technology. All right, so there's a petition, which petitions are usually useless, but anyway, you can go ahead and do that. You can reach out to them over here, press, legal, save crypto, all at LBRY.com, Twitter's at LBRY.com, and you can go ahead and look at the LBRY Discord, which they say is not run by LBRY, but it is LBRY enthusiasts. So that is really what the note is. This is the notice from the SEC. Let me make that a little bit bigger, easier to read. SEC charges New Hampshire issuer of digital asset securities with registration violations. Securities and Exchange Commission today charged LBRY, a blockchain company, with conducting an unregistered offering of digital asset securities. According to SEC complaint, from at least July 2016 to February 2021, LBRY, which offers a video sharing application, sold digital securities called LBRY credits to numerous investors, including investors based in the U.S. The complaint alleges that LBRY did not file a registration statement for the offering and that the offering failed to satisfy an exemption from registration. The complaint further alleges that by failing to file a registration statement, LBRY denied prospective investors of the information required for such an offering to the public. As alleged, LBRY received more than $11 million in US dollars, Bitcoin, and services from purchasers who participated in the offerings. The SEC complaint filed in federal court in New Hampshire charges LBRY with violating the registration provisions, sections 5A, 5C of the Securities Act of 1933. So there's what they are looking at. Now, With this, the question boils down is not, is it cryptocurrency or not? This is where I think that the SEC probably has a better case than this is saying, hey, this is against all crypto. And I wanted to ask this fundamental question, is that true? So here is Winston and Strawn, LLP. These guys here are knowledgeable about this, and so they have a blog post. When is a crypto asset a security, and why does that matter? There are 3 parts to this. This goes back to a couple years ago. And what the courts have actually determined, reading through all this, is some things such as Bitcoin is clearly not a security, and Ether, they mentioned here, is clearly not a security. So what is a security? A security is basically, it's like a stock or some form of portion ownership of the company or something to help get the company off the ground. It's an investment round. These are securities. So the question is this a security or is this not? This is why Brave needs to pay attention to this as well, if they're not already, because Brave also utilizes their own proprietary platform as a means to do content-specific related things in part of what they're doing. Again, it's going to take a lawyer and maybe a lawyer knowledgeable with SEC complaints to know for sure if that's the case. But just reading through this understanding, the question is not, is it digital or not? This is where I'm not sure that LBRY, with their help, LBRY Save Crypto, is completely right, because this is not an assault against all crypto. This is an assault against a specific crypto that was utilized for the task of helping a business get off the ground. And there is actually an entire test to determine if something is a security or not. And that is called the Howey test, which they highlight down here. So in this, a security, there's a few things. Number one, an investment of money, which could include, for example, investment of fiat or cryptocurrency. So if you're investing money to help a platform grow, that would make it a security and not just a currency. Number two, in a common enterprise. So however we're defining the common enterprise, in this case, a business. Or number three, an expectation of profit derived from managerial or entrepreneurial efforts of others. So I'm going to throw in some money now, and I expect that to grow as the company grows and becomes larger. If the Bitcoin currency, or excuse me, the LBRY currency, the LBC currency, was purchased in for the purpose of investing with an expectation of profit, then this is, by mere definition, is a security, and LBRY would be found guilty. If this is just, hey, we're going to buy in so I can watch videos or support my creators or choose to tip people, it's not a security. But that is where the hinge pin of this investigation is going to go. So this is going to need to take some eyes that are familiar with these types of cases. I wanted to cover it here because LBRY is a alternative tech. It is a popular alternative tech, particularly among the Linux world, and it does deal with cryptocurrencies, and these are important things. But what they have in this blog post was really fascinating. They actually talked about for cases, several of these cryptocurrencies have been deemed as not being securities. So when a crypto asset is when is a crypto asset a security for purposes under the federal law? These are the two summarized points, excluding the Howey test. The traditional or equity or debt securities that have been digitized are clearly securities. So anything to help investment or to grow or with expectation of a profit. That is what it is. And the fact they are represented by records on a distributed ledger or blockchain does not alter this status. At present time, the certain high-ranking officials of the SEC, but not the SEC itself, have concluded that two well-known cryptocurrencies or virtual currencies, namely Bitcoin and Ether, are not securities for purposes of federal securities laws, which makes sense because at least Bitcoin's not tied to any one particular product. It's just a crypto you can use to buy and sell on anybody who sets up a marketplace for it. And so these are important questions to have. So if you are interested in helping save LBRY, this is something that is worth watching. And I don't know where this is going to fall, because my understanding, if indeed they were selling the cryptocurrency as an investment round to get the company off the ground, this is a security and they will fail that case. If it was not that, if it was, hey, here's a new cryptocurrency and we're attaching it to the video platform that you can tip your creators, it probably is not a security. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. All this being said, can you expect to find me on LBRY? Maybe at some point in time. I know somebody is posting a few of my videos here and there onto LBRY. So I guess you can catch those if you can. If you are, please wait a couple days before you do it. I appreciate that. But other than that, I generally don't care otherwise. However, it is something that we have talked with some of the supporters about jumping back on it, because it does appear that they have changed based on the initial criticisms that I've had. And I'm always looking for good alternative technologies to get the word out there as well, because frankly, the mainstream does attack a lot of different types of content. So there's the case. Let me know your opinions, particularly if you are an SEC lawyer, somebody who deals with these types of cases. Where do you see this showing up? Not focusing on your bias, I like LBRY or I don't like LBRY, but based on the fact, if LBRY is selling LBC as an investment round, it is a security and they will be found guilty of this. If they are not, if this is just there to tip creators and stuff like that, no big deal. But we'll have to see. Now, can the government do what it wants? Yeah, probably. And maybe we can then talk about fairness or not fairness or whatever else at a later time. So anyway, there's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments down below. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.